Mrs. Hamilton, could you please?
If you'll join me. Father God, we come to you now and we thank you and praise you for your love and for your goodness and your forgiveness. Lord, we just ask for you to be present in this meeting and just thank you for all that you offer each one of us here. Lord, we thank you most for your son. We ask that you give safe travels to everyone coming and going. And we thank you for this level of participation in local government. We ask that your spirit guide and direct this Board of Commission and that you keep everyone safe as they return. And it's in your son's precious name that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, as a symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
Okay, item 1, approval of agenda.
I mean, we approve the agenda as submitted.
A second. Motion been made and second to approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Approval of minutes of October 17th, regular meeting.
I make motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and second to approve the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Approval of accounts payable and payroll from October 1 through October 31st. And accounts payable on October 1, October 31st.
I move we approve item 3 and approve the accounts payable and payroll.
I'll second. Motion made and second to approve item 3, accounts payable and payroll. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Informational items, presentation and redemption overview of the analysis. Eric Harrington.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. Eric Harrigan with RBC Capital Markets. We serve as the county's municipal advisor. And so we were asked to review the county's debt for, prepayment options to, pay off some of your debt earlier. What would be in the county's best interests of the bonds or loans that you do have outstanding to really generate the greatest savings to the county. So we turn to the first page. So the county has a total of 5 different loans through either the New Mexico Finance Authority or the New Mexico Environment Department. And the county's debt on average ranges, between, 0.03%, which is the NMED loan, very, very low cost of funds, to 4.34%, which is your highest interest rate loan, which is your 2011 NMFA loan. So generally, when you issue tax-exempt debt through the New Mexico Finance Authority, it has a 10-year call. New Mexico Environment Department loans typically have an anytime call, but they also come with very, very low interest rates. So it's usually not that beneficial to prepay those. So in looking at the 2011, as mentioned, that's your highest interest loan that you have outstanding. It became callable in 2021, 10 years after the issuance. So the county has the option to prepay those bonds essentially at any time without having to set up an escrow. And so those bonds were issued in the original amount of a little over 1.6 million. It's currently outstanding in the amount of $1,075,000. And so since that's your highest, interest rate that you have on your loans, it's also going to generate the most savings if you prepay those bonds early. So if you go to the next, page, one of the things that you always want to evaluate is, well, what's the impact to the county's general fund? What's the impact to your effective rating if you pay bonds off early? So, we did an analysis on the impact of the county and its general fund. I really have to commend the county. You guys have done an absolutely tremendous job of, really righting your financial ship, if you will, over the last several years. And you've gone from essentially a triple B, low A rated, fund balance to your revenues to effectively the triple A rating level, which is really commendable. When we did look at redeeming the 2011 bonds, it will actually not drop that rating metric because you do have strong enough fund balances to be able to pay the 2011 bonds off and continue to maintain those healthy levels. Redeeming the 2011 bonds will also improve the county's debt to revenue metric. And then one of the things that you don't really have a whole lot of control over, but is part of your rating metric, and that is your OPEB liability, your unfunded liability that really gets put on your books since you obviously participate in PARA, and that unfunded balance gets put on your books. That also improves that net OPEB liability because that rating metric takes into account your unfunded pension liability as well as all of the debt that the county has outstanding. So prepaying this loan, we don't anticipate having any impact on the county's rating. And in fact, we actually think it might improve the county's underlying rating. So on page 3 of the presentation, so this is just kind of the numerical analysis for the, redeeming the bonds. As I mentioned, you see over here on the right-hand side, these are all of the payments or the principal amount remaining on the 2011 loan, just a little bit more than $1,075,000. If the county were to pay this bond to maturity, it matures in 2036, you would pay $1,398,000 roughly in total payment. So the cost on a nominal basis is about $313,000 in interest that you would save between now and 2036. But we can't ignore the fact that you obviously have the ability to invest those funds currently. So what we did is we took a look at what is the federal funds rate over the last 20 years, because we've obviously seen spikes in federal fund rate. We've seen drops in the federal fund rate. And obviously right now we're looking at a fairly high federal funds rate, and that's directly related to the amount of money that you can earn, on your overnight loans. So over the last 20 years, that's averaged 1.75%. We decided to be more conservative and go with a 3% average annual investment rate over until 2036. If we assume that on a present value basis, the county saves about $85,000. So on a nominal basis, you'll save about $313,000. If you look at on a present value basis, being able to invest that money, the county still comes out ahead about $85,000 on a net present value basis. Excuse me. So on the next page, on page 4, we listed kind of the pros and cons. So pros, it reduces the county's overall debt burden. It will reduce the county's future debt service by about $109,000 per year by paying the bonds off early. This can be helpful if gross receipts tax revenue declines in the future. It maintains the county's general fund rating metric at a AA level. It also increases the county's rating metric from the debt to revenue from A to AA. And then it generates an estimated $80,000 in net present value savings benefit to the county. The con, and that really is the opportunity cost to be able to invest those funds. But it is expected that we're going to start seeing the Federal Reserve dropping the overnight lending rate next year. The anticipated level is about 100 basis points from where it currently is, as inflation kind of continues to tick down. For those of you that follow the market pretty closely. CPI did come out today. It was well below expectations, and rates are off pretty significantly, kind of signaling a pause to the Federal Reserve action and future potential cuts next year. So we have a few slides on the market. I won't go into them if you'd like, unless you would like for me to. I'm happy to answer questions if this is something that the county would be interested in moving forward with. We would come back with a formal resolution that the commission would adopt to redeem and pay off those bonds with the New Mexico Finance Authority, depending upon the commission's pleasure. So with that, I'd be happy to answer questions.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. So there's two numbers that I took note to, the 1638-201 and then the 1075300. If we were to pay this off, what would be the savings again
So on
the county's part?
So on a nominal basis, you'll save about $313,000 in interest between now and 2036 when the bonds get paid off. We also look at it on a present value basis. If you present value that savings to today's dollars, it's between $80,000 and $85,000.
And Amber, question to you. I'm sure I can disclose this, but we have enough money, right, to pay this off?
That is what we presented on last time. So it's based on the salary or based on the spending savings that we've seen in general fund. So just to give you an idea, in general fund as of June 30th, 2021, the expenditures were under budget by just over $1 million. In 2022, expenditures were under budget at $1.1 million. And as of June 30th, 2023, budget expenditures were under 918. So this is not something that is operational because we don't want to touch our operational aspect in any way in terms of our budget. This is all coming as a result of savings by all of our department heads and elected officials in the regular operation of the general fund.
Okay. And first of all, I should have said this first of all. Thank you for being here.
Sure.
And presenting this to us. This is an action item though, right?
Right.
Well,
It's just a presentation today. If you want to choose to take action, then we would bring the formal resolution at a future meeting in December or such.
can I request that resolution to be presented at our next meeting, Mr. Chairman? Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
You said that you looked at the, I think, average. Oh, I need to look at this.
This is our county treasurer.
I think you said you looked at an average interest rate. This feels weird talking to him with my back turned.
It's fine. It's totally fine.
And I believe you said it was somewhere, you looked at it as 3%. Is that correct?
So
So if we were to take the $1,775,000 and invest it today versus paying off the debt, you said that the rate would probably be 3%. Is that what you were saying?
So what we did is we took a look at the, and I'm just using effectively the LGIP, from the state treasurer. So right now it's, probably 5.25%. We looked at what the overnight lending rate, which is, directly tied to basically money market funds, over the last 20 years, and it's averaged about 1.75%. So we've obviously, during the pandemic, we obviously saw extremely low, 0 to 0.25% on the federal funds rate. But during the, housing crisis, or right before the housing crisis, the Federal Reserve had raised rates significantly up to the 5% level again. So we wanted to look over the last 20 years, what has that rate been, to kind of get a rough average of what, the county might be able to invest those funds at. If you look at that average, it's 1.75% over the last 20 years. For purposes of our analysis, we wanted to be more conservative, so we used 3%. So if the county is able to earn 3% on that money over the next between now and 2036, the savings would be between 80 and 85,000 on a present value basis. If you're able to earn more than that 3% over between now and 2036, that savings number is going to go down a little bit. If you're able to earn less than that, then those savings will go up. So we look at it both on a nominal and a present value basis, because the present value basis is really that opportunity cost of holding on to the money and investing it. And we estimate that if you hold on to, if you hold on to it, if you hold on to invest it at 3%, you would have been better off paying the debt off to the tune of about 85,000. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yes. And so would you suggest if we could get 5.5 now for 8 years, would you suggest that it would be beneficial to lock that money in for 8 years at 5.5, or pay it off, pay the 4.3 off?
It's hard to say. I mean, we didn't run that number in terms of locking in, that rate for, that long period of time. The issue is that you also have to, you're paying this debt down over time. So you don't want to lock all $1,075,000 up for 8 years, because you also have to pay the debt service, on the debt. So we wouldn't recommend locking the money up.
But if you had extra, you have enough to make your debt service. I mean, we don't just have
Sure.
that.
Right.
So, I mean, our debt service would still be covered.
Right. I mean, so
Without
if you're
having to lock in or to worry about using the 1.75.
right. I mean, if you can lock that money in, and then depending upon after 8 years, what happens to interest rates, it's hard to say, but probably,
We could
close
pay it
to
off in
break
8
and
years if the interest rates went significantly down again.
potentially. Yeah.
That'll be a gamble.
Is there any
And-
other questions?
Yes, I have one more.
Okay.
And if we're paying this debt, are we looking at acquiring more debt? Is there something in the works that we're looking at doing? Another project? Is that why we want to pay this one down or off? No?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
What?
Chair. That was kind of what I was thinking, if there's anything in the future that we may be looking at, going to borrow money. And if we borrow money, it's going to be at a higher interest rate than what this money's locked in at. So it would be costing us more than to operate on this cheaper money. That was my question. If we had anything coming up where we're going to have to look at something like that, whether it be the courthouse renovations or the fairgrounds or what.
I don't think we do, but if I had my way, we'd do the fairgrounds without a doubt.
But anyway, I was sitting there thinking, that it sure costs more to borrow money. It costs more to borrow it than what we could be able to save because of the higher interest rates right now.
So if it's okay, so right now, a 20-year loan is gonna run you probably around 3.8 to 4%, given where current rates are. And
But, aren't these loans just for 10? Isn't that what you just said?
they become callable after 10
Okay.
years. So this was originally a 25-year loan, I believe.
Correct.
And so-
2011. This is the arena at the fairgrounds, debt service.
And so kind of what effectively what's happened is that short-term interest rates are up. So we're in this inverted yield curve or flat yield curve. So long-term rates, long-term rates are, at this level, and you've got short-term rates at this level. So what we're seeing is you're able to invest your money at a higher rate than, you can borrow money at, right now because of that sort of inverted yield curve. But, borrowing money long term, it's actually still, somewhat attractive. We did get very spoiled, if you will, during the pandemic to those ultra low interest rates. The long-term tax exempt rates, are still in the, 3.6 to 4% range.
And Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I think that we need to really consider the key thing that he mentioned earlier is our rating. We're at AAA, right?
So your rating there. So there are multiple things that go into your bond rating, multiple metrics, if you will. Debt is obviously a large component of it. Your tax base is a component of it. Your rating is in the mid, AA, but your fund balance is in the AAA category, and your debt to revenue has been creeping up. This will improve that from the A to the AA. I do anticipate paying this off at either maintain or maybe potentially increase your bond rating.
So in layman's terms, for us that are not economics majors or anything like that, this is a good thing, right? Where we're standing. Okay.
Yes. Overall, again, depends on what interest rates do, but we have no idea what they will do, and that's why we wanted to look at what's transpired over the last 20 years.
Thank you.
Basis.
Appreciate it very much.
Absolutely. You're welcome.
Item 5, public request. Is there anyone that'd like to address the commission this morning? Veronica, good to have you. Thank you for
Mr. Chair,
coming.
Commission. As most of you know, my name is Veronica Cordova. And the reason I'm here today is because, as you know, recently we did a road project in collaboration with the county. And I, on behalf of the city, would like to show my appreciation with a plaque that is going to be presented to the road department. It just says, with our greatest appreciation of the city of Portales hereby honors Roosevelt County in recognition for your passion and commitment towards making Portales a better place and for years to come. Thank you. So we appreciate this. I'm really sad that I didn't get to do this before Mr. Lovato left, but we're really excited to work with Mr. Dominguez in the future and on any other projects that we can collaborate together.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Councilwoman.
Welcome.
Veronica.
Picture, please. Daniel actually made this. Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else? I kept looking at you, Angie. I knew you would come up.
You guys act like I come and say something every meeting. I refrain. Good morning, commissioners. Thank you for allowing us to speak. I just wanted to address one of the issues that is up on our agenda today, and that is choosing who is going to likely replace Senator Engel. Now, as an officer of the Republican Party, I am not allowed to publicly endorse anybody. I can privately all you want, but publicly I cannot. So what I do want to address publicly is the way that this happened. Many citizens started to get word that there seemed that there was something up within our Republican caucus. They had a plan, hatched a plan to get people that they wanted in certain positions, leaving out the voice of the people. We felt that we were being circumvented, and that is not a constitutional republic at work at all. What that reminded me of was this book right here, Animal Farm. George Orwell's masterpiece. And if you're familiar with that book, the pigs that went on that he used to represent Lenin and Trotsky and the Minister of Propaganda, I forget his name at the moment, they were the spark that started communism. And one of the things that Squealer would often do is he would remind the animals that loved their farm and loved each other and just wanted the best for one another and were willing to work for that. He would come out and remind them, Now, we're the pigs, we're the brain workers, we're the experts. We know better than all of you guys. So you guys just go out on the farm and you guys just sit there and do what you're supposed to do and let us make all the decisions for you. That's what I felt like this was all about. That we had some people in Santa Fe who felt they were smarter than the citizens, that we don't know who is best to serve in certain places, and we were left out of the conversation. From mid-March until today, at any time there could have been town halls, there could have been conversations with constituents. They had every opportunity to make their pitch as to why they believed a certain person would be best suited to go into the Senate. And we would have listened, and if they'd made their case, you're right, let's go for that person. But we felt completely left out, and that is a complete denial of a constitutional republic. And I'm not very happy about it. And if we don't start taking care and acting like we're a constitutional republic, we're going to lose it. We are really close to it as it is. So I'm not very happy. And if somebody here thinks that I am favoring one candidate over the other because of what I'm saying, I have Steve Pierce's phone number right here if you want to call him and rat me out. But we got to do better. We've got to do better. And what I also wanted to tell you is thank you. Thank you for opening this up. Thank you for being willing to say, we will allow anybody to step forward that thinks that they would represent us well. We want to hear from them. We want to hear from the constituents. Who would you like to see represent you? Not who's going to be best to represent the interests of a caucus. Because I've been wondering, are they up there to serve the caucus or are they up there to serve the citizens? I've begun to wonder. So thank you.
Thank you, Angie. You want to speak? Is there anybody else? Thank you for participating. Item 6, elected officials. Shayla Ramsey.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. So for the facility this morning, we're at 71. We have 17 females, 54 males. For our out-of-county detainees, we have 34. Quay County for last month, we billed $76,275. For Chavez County is $1,750. For our programs, we have 15 in MAT, 15 in our group counseling sessions, 15 in our individual sessions, 4 waiting to be interviewed for the MAT program. We have 4 on medication, 7 in GED, 5 in parenting class, and 15 in yoga. And then I also wanted to add that I didn't put on my notes is that we just tested for our first 2 GED candidates. So hopefully we can get those 2 passed and get their GED certifications to them. I stand for any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Miss Lily.
Good morning, Commissioners. Included in your agenda item packets is the first quarter that we submitted to DFA. This is for the July 1st through September 30th reporting. This report represents all of the funds for our county with their respective balances as of September 30th. The balance for general fund as of September 30th had an adjusted balance of just a little over $14.1 million. This, of course, includes our investments. Road, as of September 30th, had an adjusted balance of $2.8 million. All budgets are performing well and on budget. Monthly budget reports are sent out to department heads and/or elected officials. I also send out open PO status reports for their review and any details regarding their budgets that they may request. With that being said, I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you, Lily.
Thank you.
Mr. Dominguez, 1.
Good morning. I got a little report here. LGRF is coming to a close. We got 1 mile left and we'll be able to close 2023. And then we're currently working on Road 10 now, part of capital outlay. And we're fixing to Lake Caliche on that one. And the cattle guard crew, they got done at Miss Hills. And we'll be moving to Road 17 and AF and 32 and 34. And we'll go to 44 and get those done. And then we'll get all the emergency ones done. We'll go back and make another round. Get them, hopefully the whole county cleaned up. And then shredding is almost done. He's in Elida. He'll move to Rogers, Causey, and then come back to town, finish Road 12 and Road 8, and then we'll be done with that. And that's about it for now. Any questions?
Mr. Dominguez. I'd like to mention on Roosevelt Road P, what crosses 18th or
6. Right.
yeah, see, right there, oh, maybe 50 yards south of the Arch Highway, there's a pothole opening up there. And, that gets a lot of traffic. I think if we can put a little bit of filler in that, if you get a chance, put a little filler in that pothole there, right there by Cox Refrigeration.
All right. Take a look at it.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I have a couple of questions. Well, one question. How is the illegal dumping out in the county right now? What is the status? Is it still rampant or
We're still having trouble with it.
a
yeah.
lot of trouble?
A lot of trouble.
And we still, Amber, we still have the reward and stuff, right? For anyone that turns somebody in and they're fined or whatever it may be.
Yes, sir.
Because it's pretty rampant in the city. I've had numerous complaints from city folk, not county folk that much. That's why I was asking Juan. But individuals, I don't know if they're coming from the city or I don't know. What I saw and I witnessed, and I know that I shared it with you guys, is that I'm even seeing these small business contractors that are pulling trailers with all their, material that's no good and dumping it. I witnessed it firsthand because I had to confront a couple of people. My neighbor was actually threatened. So I think that we need to continue to address this. And Sheriff, I'm glad that you're here because it's become a problem. And I think we need to find a solution because we've got to be part of the solution, not the problem. That's my slogan. I've said it a lot of times. And I need to see if we can, I mentioned it a few months ago, Amber, going back to see if we can get those,
Roll-offs.
yes, or even out in the county or past the city limit lines. And I know that a lot of people complain that with the wind and this and that, trash was all over. Well, I just think we need to educate the public because it is a problem. And we do pay. Us city folk, we pay every month for garbage and for other individuals to be filling up. I got in town yesterday and our bin is completely full. And I know that me and my 2 or 3 fellow neighbors would not fill it up because it was all material from whatever they're doing out in the community. So with that, I just, if we can continue just to enforce that, Sheriff, to the best of our ability, I would really appreciate it. And then if I need to do another PSA, Amber, I would be more than happy to do it. So,
Thank you,
And
Dennis.
I have, so I would like to tell you that I've gotten several calls, probably 7, on the shredder operator that you have in the Elida area, that he is doing an outstanding job. It actually looks better than it's ever looked down through there. So thank you very much for that. I would also like to know where we stand on South Roosevelt Road 12. I know this was a road that I turned in back in October.
Caesar's on it today, and we're hauling some cobblestone into the holes. Gonna fill them up and then kind of shape it up.
Okay.
So hopefully next couple days.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Juan. Ms. Hamilton.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. So just a few things to report on. We did finish and participate in the Walk to End Alzheimer's up in, it was hosted by Curry County at the Clovis, in Clovis at the North Plains Mall. Commissioner Dixon was active part of that. We had a good turnout. They are still raising funds for our walks and everything, but it went really well. We worked closely with the administrative office of the courts in regards to the courthouse funding letter. And these are all things that have come as a result of the special allocation that the legislature put forward for the courthouses. The majority of that was dedicated, of course, to Otero County following their courthouse concerns and issues. But we were able to partner with the Administrative Office of Courts and District Judge Maurer to submit a letter of interest in regards to those funds. They've requested some renovations in their jury room. They have some security concerns, just being able to have some ADA accessible bathrooms for those juries. And it would definitely be something where maybe we could schedule for y'all to go 2 by 2, 1 by 1, whatever, or we take a trip after a meeting or something where y'all could see some of those concerns that is with that pattern of flow with the jury and such. And so it was just under $1 million. The way the funding application, it just puts us in the queue. They're short about $20 million from all the asks that they received, but they wanted us to load future projects in there. So we would still need to have an architect come in, engineer. We're dealing with obviously a 1938 building. So there's going to be some plumbing issues that we know we're going to inhabit and such. But all of that to say, we at least put the initial application out there saying, hey, we know this is a need for our district court area. Here's what it looks like. This is one that we would like to have on the list. And again, our court administrator and district judge were very good at advocating and showing exactly what they were needing. So we have that in the queue, and we're hoping to see additional funding come from the legislature for those unfunded mandates of those courthouses and such. Our maintenance team is wrapping up several smaller projects, specifically over at the Jake Lopez building. They finished the fair office remodel. They pulled out all that old carpet, replaced the ceiling, repainted in there. If y'all haven't seen it, looks great. Y'all are welcome to stop by. They also did the storage room, and they just finished and are wrapping up over and redoing the McAllister room. Went back in there with that vinyl hardwood floor that matches what's in the kitchen. Repainted. I know Ryan and the crew over there worked closely with them to help kind of get everything out and then move back in. So, and they helped paint and everything. So it was a great partnership there. I went to Santa Fe yesterday and attended a meeting with General Services Division. We were sent a notice on the end or mid-October, about the 17th, 18th of October, that there would be a 10% insurance premium increase effective January 1st, 2024 for all of the local public bodies that participate in the state program. At the meeting yesterday, the deputy secretary acknowledged that they knew about this in July. However, they failed to communicate that with local public bodies for us to be able to budget appropriately. What GSD has shared that Risk is facing is approximately a $70 million budget deficit in regards to the healthcare benefits. And they are trying to simply get that to a zero balance, and that will be transferred to the new healthcare authority. The healthcare authority is going to be the new authority that the governor had set up that will house Medicaid, Medicare, and now all of our public employee benefits for those that participate. So form your own opinion there. The concern is, again, with the assessments that they've put in and the increased rates, they're trying to plug the hole of the $70 million. HR is going to work with our employees. We're sending out the new rates, letting them know this is the information we received yesterday. This is coming from our state. This is going to be the impact that you're looking at per pay period and per month, so that everyone can take into effect. They are not going to consider this a qualifying event for public employees, even though it was a rate hike that no one knew was coming. But ERISA yesterday told us that they would try to work with public employees as they can, because we just completed open enrollment, as y'all are aware of. So everybody made changes, or a few made changes, but they weren't afforded the opportunity to make different changes, like, hey, instead of this, I'll go to that. The positive thing, of course, for the county side, with our employees, with us, with the county shouldering 85% of that contribution, it's the remaining 15% that will have that impact on it and everything. So again, Lauren has those figures put together. That email may have already been out while we've been in here. So more to come on it. And with the Healthcare Authority, they could not comment on anything that is to come as of July 1st. We certainly should anticipate another increase in our premium, but they can't comment on anything. The Cabinet Secretary was not there, and they were not able to answer any of the questions in the room. So we just took what information we could gather and wanted to present that and keep y'all aware. Based on the 10% that has been worked in, that they provided us notice on, Ms. Rivera worked with Ms. Bagwell so that they could get the initial 10% ready for January 1st. So you'll see that when she presents the budget adjustment later, and she'll highlight that. Okay, so now more exciting stuff. So we've continued to work on a CDL program within our road department. We are finding it very challenging to find those CDL drivers. And we've talked to some other counties that have implemented the program. This is something that Mr. Lovato and Mr. Dominguez started about a year ago. We've worked in some aspects of the program there in the workforce, but we really want to focus on more development for our personnel, raising those up. So we found the local school, as y'all are familiar, we have one here that does the CDL program, and they do it a lot of times with a lot of different entities. But what we're looking at is being able to partner with them. And much like we require with a new deputy going through certification programs or something, they sign an employment agreement to contribute X number of years in as a result of being able to acquire their CDL. So the CDL school would take about 2 weeks of their time, and they would be able to do that and get certified to have a CDL. And then we would be able to provide that on-the-job training for them. And then as a result of investing in their development, they would sign a 3-year contract to stay with us at the Road Barn. We have approximately 5 employees right now that are interested in participating in the program and everything. And Mr. Garcia has been able to draft just a potential form for the employment agreement part just for them. Again, it's something we do commonly in other areas, but this would be something that we would do specifically for the road and for our need for CDL drivers. We really need to have 2 crews running right now, and we have to pull someone from a cattle guard crew or one of the other essential ones that we have going, just to have somebody that can run that water truck. So we definitely want to try to invest in our own and find some creative solutions on that one. The next thing is I was invited to present to the Roosevelt County Extension group and answer some questions they had about the Fairgrounds master plan draft that was on display out at the fairgrounds, and kind of gather some thoughts. They had some wonderful suggestions in regards to restroom access, and that's something that Mr. Spinks and I looked at, and we can visit with the architect about if that's something the commission wants to include. Because at this point, we really don't have much worked in for the Jake Lopez building, because y'all have already invested so much in that building. But to be able to have an access that's accessible to the McAllister room. A prime example, when we went and met in there, we had early voting going on. So at that point of early voting, we have security requirements, protocols for the county clerk's office. The county offices, obviously, like their performance takes precedent over everything else. So then you have to lock that door. Then those individuals that are utilizing that room if they need bathroom access, they go across the walkway to the extension office. So if we were able to put in an ADA accessible in one of those storage closets, it would just really alleviate some of those. So those ladies were very excited, very appreciative of everything that the commission had done out there, and they had some good thoughts. They want to be part of the discussion in regards to the continued potential planning for the renovation of the home arts and merchants area and everything like that. So it was a great meeting, and was great to have that invitation. The last thing that we need to discuss is we will need to look at having a road and a fleet workshop. Y'all recall that we have those at the end of the year. So we need to look at that, and the annual detention inspection. So super fun things. Don't know if y'all want to do the annual detention inspection December 5th, and then be able to address it in the minutes and on the report at the 19th meeting, or if you would like to, how you would like to do that. It's typically we follow commission meetings, and December 5th and 19th are those upcoming ones. So
Let's do the 5th as far as
I'm good with the 5th.
5th.
okay, so we'll do the detention walkthrough on the 5th. That way we don't have to wait a whole month to make the standard report back in our minutes, and then
Yes,
we'll
ma'am.
schedule a fleet and road workshop for the 19th. Okay, perfect. Thank y'all. And that's the end of my list, I think. So I would stand for any questions.
Mr. Chairman, if it's in your, what you might call it, you want to go just to the commissioners? Because I do have some questions, but we can go into the commissioners line item, right?
Sure. You're up for it. You're on.
On the restrooms, is on the ADA restrooms, what we're needing at the fairgrounds, that's in our ICIP, right?
Well, we have it on our, so yes, there's some aspect of it in our ICIP, but it's also more detailed in that Fairgrounds Master Draft Plan that will need to be revised. The one that we hung at the county fair.
Can we revise it
Yes, sir.
sooner than later?
I will see what the architect's availability is to come back out.
Okay. Next thing, is there any monetary incentives for individuals that go through the CDL class as far as what they get as far as salary and stuff? Because I know during the pandemic, so many truck drivers, so many individuals with CDLs opted to either retire or go to different fields. So that's going to be, I think that we're going to need to give them an incentive to work for us. Do we have that in place already?
Yes, sir. That's part of our pay plan. And then the class itself is about $2,700 plus tax for the CDL aspect. They will have to do some of the work on their own. They can do some of it online. So that the $2,700 in tax is the initial investment that would have the employee agreement attached with it. And then there is an hourly stipend or adjustment incentive at that
Bonus,
point for the CDL licensure.
Okay, good. And I know fellow commissioners and Amber and rest of the staff, this is a broken record, but we are doing a bunch of improvements at the fairgrounds, which is, that's been my baby, the fairgrounds. I love the improvements that have occurred over since I was a commissioner in 2000. I mean, it's enhanced tenfold. But I'm still going to hang on Lime Street. And I know that you and I talked, Amber, and the city doesn't really even have it on the radar. But we're doing all these enhancements. But then again, when people come to visit, now that we're going to really promote quality of life and have so many more different events there, you know, if it rains an eighth of an inch, I mean, they're going through potholes. And it just, to me, it looks like a third world country. So I just want to mention that so the record could reflect that I really want Lime Street from 70 railroad tracks to Boston get done. And I would love for us to do a JPA with the city to get that done. That's in my district. And like I mentioned last meeting, I don't have a road fund or anything else. And I know it's going to be costly because of the drainage and everything, Amber, but I'm not going to give up on it. You know, I term out next December and I'm not going to give up on Lime Street because we do have a lot of different events there. and it's horrendous when it rains, and it's, so I really want to get that meeting with the plant managers and the managers from the peanut place, and just talk, see if they can go in collaboration with us. And I know that the city manager had mentioned that although it was in their ICIP, it was nowhere near the radar because there were so many other streets that were in such bad shape in Portales, which I don't disagree, seeing my orange barrels here. But anyway, so I'm going to stay on that. And that's going to continue to be my initiative, fellow commissioners. I know how you're looking at me, Paul. So anyway, I'm done with that. I'm going to mention it every meeting until I'm done. The other thing, I got a call and I met with an individual. I won't mention names, but the senior center that was built for Los Abuelitos Senior Center at La Casa, it doesn't have ADA accessible doors for a lot of individuals that are on wheelchairs or walkers. Can you please look into that with Seth and David, if you don't mind? And that's all I have.
Covered it all. We might as well adjourn.
Okay. Mr. Savage?
I have nothing, sir.
I do. I do. Okay, so first off, to follow what you said about the senior center, I don't know why that reminded me, but the income support division that we have now, when someone goes over there, if they need Medicaid services or whatever, they seriously need to work on that place. I took an individual over there, an elderly person over there one day to help them get their stuff done. They greet you in the main room. There was 4 or 5 other people waiting in there. We heard about one gentleman's whole incarceration. I mean, they talk about all of your business right there in the open. There is no security for your information or anything. They do it right there in the wide open, and they seriously need to work on that. And they have one gentleman that they said that knew how to do any of it. And then after it was done incorrectly anyway. So we had to redo it. So I just want to say they need to check into that. Also, I would like y'all to know, I don't know if I told you guys, I'm on the New Mexico counties, but I was elected to the executive committee for New Mexico counties, where I represent the 5 counties in our region. So we had a meeting the other day for the legislative priorities. We met with the New Mexico Municipal League, with their executive board as well. We have the House Bill 2 appropriations, detention reimbursement fund, detention recruitment and retention, prisoner transportation and extradition, the RISE funding, emergency medical service, courthouse funding, state health benefit plan, elected official salary increase, and the firefighter recruitment and retention. They all passed with the support also with the New Mexico Municipal League. So I just wanted to point those 2 out. But I did want to ask you, Amber, and I don't know if Javier's here, but I had talked to you about the transport one, and you were going to get the numbers up there. We are one of the only counties that don't have our numbers in for that, and we need to have that in before legislation. So I didn't know if we could get with Javier to get those numbers.
I believe they're tracking it now. It's not something that we've tracked in years past to have a specific budget line item. They had an incorrect number in there.
Yeah.
I think they had like 80,000. I said, okay, maybe 8, but I think there was an extra 0.
I think
but
it was
I
100,
believe his
but
staff
yeah.
is actually, is he still over?
He's
I
right
can't
there.
see.
Yes.
He's in the
I
doorway.
believe his staff is still tracking it.
Okay. All right.
So we can get you kind of what we have to date and we can annualize it. Maybe if we've got the first quarter or something like that.
Yeah, we can get those numbers.
Okay. Okay.
So to educate me on this, Commissioner Dixon, Sheriff, so the purpose of this reporting is when we to request for funds, or is it something that's mandated statutorily, or what's the deal here?
This
Why are you
is
guys
the
requesting
prisoner
this?
transport and
Right.
extradition. I can send you all the information I have you on for
Well, just
this.
tell me right now.
Well, I don't have it with me right here on my screen, so I'm gonna have to send it to you, but
I can
Amber
help
can
you.
probably tell you.
So yes, it is a statute. There is supposed to be funds in there. They have never funded it, and they have never reimbursed adequately the sheriff's office for making all those transports. So when they have to go pick up for DOC or make those transports, that is always something that they have just shifted, another unfunded mandate that they have shifted. So yes, there is statute, there is the structure there. There's just never been the funding. So NMC has been advocating to say, you have to put money here and we have to be able to go and get reimbursed for these expenses.
So it's an additional funding source, so we really need to jump on it. Thank you, Commissioner Dixon.
Go
Sheriff.
ahead. Did you have something, Javier? Okay. Okay, and I believe that was all I had.
Oh, I was just gonna say, one, thank you about the mowing and stuff, and then those our little county blacktops down there in Rogers and Causey, Lingo. If we don't start getting something done about them holes, then we're gonna lose them in the edging, especially down there at Lingo and the one going north out of Causey. But anyway, I do appreciate you and the cattle guard work. Just keep it up. We got lots of guards to need cleaned out. Anyway, that's all I have to say for now.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 7, resolutions, ordinances, and proclamations. Item 7A, consideration of resolution 2023-43 adopting an amendment to the Roosevelt County Detention Center policies and procedures manual.
Okay, so I have it all kind of mapped out for you guys. We did purchase the gloves that we talked about a couple months ago, and they're called CD3 gloves. And what they are they have pads, and you have to kind of, grab someone like you're escorting them or anything like that. So what this does is it helps us at the detention center not have to use our taser. So the taser is not what we want to do. We don't want to hurt individuals, anything like that. So we purchased these gloves to help us gain compliance from detainees. So we had to change some of our policies to add these gloves in there so we can train on them. We did have a training, and we have 2 in-house trainers that can train the rest of the staff. You guys can come if you want. So we're going to look at our first policy, and it's D1. On the second page, we just had to add to the physical handling. So it's like a diagram, and we put the glove in CD3. And so that's the first change on that one. Then if you go to the third page in that policy, it's going to be B5, I believe. And we added the second level of force may be assisted escort or directional contact use of the glove. And it's a generated low output voltage emitter, CD3, conductive, distraction, and de-escalation device. It is considered an assisted escort. So that's all the changes we have on D1. For the second policy, we have D6, and this is the conducted electrical weapon system. We wanted to just kind of cover our bases and add it to both policies. So on the first page, it says glove CD3, generated low output voltage emitter, conductive, distraction, and de-escalation device, a less lethal device that uses conductive pads on a glove to stun small muscle groups to attain compliance. On the second page is number 6, procedure for the glove. It pretty much maps out what we can do, what we cannot do with these gloves. We are not allowed to grab faces, grab necks, grab anybody in any special places or anything like that. But we can use their arms, we can touch their legs, we can touch, their back if they need to. Now, these gloves, they don't have any anything happen to these individuals if you touch their clothing. You can touch all over your body with your clothing. We have to actually touch skin with those. It leaves no marks. It leaves no puncture wounds like the taser does, anything like that. So this kind of just helps us
Restrain.
not restrain, but escort or de-escalate a situation. I stand for any questions.
Mr. Chairman, I've got a question for our legal counsel. Are you familiar with what she just presented? And would there be any excessive force liability against any of them using this type of?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Lopez, no, I mean, it depends on the context, totality of the circumstances. I mean, what's proportional to the need, to the force.
Okay.
But not in and of itself, it's not a problem.
Not excessive force. And then what type of training do you guys go through to do just restraint? I used the word restraint a little while ago. In lieu of having to use these type of instruments, whatever they may be, do y'all do like self-defense training? And
We do, yes, sir. So we have self-defense training. We have escorting training. We actually have to use the gloves, and they have to be used on us before we are allowed to use them. So.
Thank you.
And to answer your last question too, this glove has had way less exposure to litigation rather than a taser and any type of use of force situation. This glove also is under a 5-second, just like the taser, that it shuts off. So you cannot electrocute anybody or anything like that. And it's a D battery. It's not like a taser. It doesn't have a huge battery or anything like that. You put it on a charger, it stays charged for like 12,000 times that you can use it. I mean, there's so much less litigation. We don't have to pull needles out of anybody, anything like that. They can see medical just the same if we have to use those. This has way less exposure to any type of litigation.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve, Mr. Chairman, agenda item 7A, consideration resolution 2343, adopting amendment to the RCDC policies and procedures manual.
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded. Roy Lee, how do you vote?
Yes.
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 5 yes votes. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Ramsey, thank you. Item B, resolution 2023-44, second quarter financial. Lily.
Okay, Commissioners, in your agenda items are the second quarter budget adjustments for your approval. As you can see, there are quite a bit. Most of the adjustments you see are to health and medical premiums. As Ms. Hamilton touched on that subject earlier, the health insurance benefits will have a 10% rate increase and will be effective January 1st. At this time, we are thankful we received more than what we had budgeted for from the shared county equalization. So the adjustments you see in the general fund will be covered by the adjustment to the county equalization revenue. This is a very complex formula that the state utilizes to distribute to each county. And because it is so complex, it's such a moving target and difficult to budget for. So thus the adjustment to the revenue to the equalization. In our budget, we also have budget adjustments for the legislative funds and grants expected to be received once the amounts are expended. We also have adjustments in this quarter to account for staff changes in the administration, road, and the detention budget. With that being said, I'd like to request the consideration of your approval for the second quarter budget adjustments, and I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions?
No, Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve agenda item 7B, resolution 2344, second quarter financial budgets adjustments as presented by Liliana Rivera.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve item 7B. Rod, how do you vote?
Yes.
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 5 yes votes. Motion passes. Item 7C, request for approval of proclamation declaring December 2023 as Drunk and Drugged Driving Prevention Month. Mrs. Reed.
Good morning, commissioners. Thank you for letting me be here. We're starting the season of lots of holidays, of lots of events from now till, 1st of January. And so several of us counties have kind of hung together the last few years to do some big push in our county for Drunk and Drug Driving Prevention Month. And this year, thank goodness, I managed to get here in November instead of December to get it proclaimed. So I would like to read the proclamation for you. And I hope I have the right one. If I miss something, we'll add it. Okay. Drunk and Drunk Driving Prevention Month, December 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023. Whereas Roosevelt County officials value the health and safety of all our citizens, and whereas local leaders in government and in community know that the support of the citizens in our communities are the most effective tools they can have in their efforts to reduce the use of alcohol and other drugs by New Mexicans. And whereas Roosevelt County is joining with other New Mexico DWI coordinator affiliates to support all efforts to reduce DWI crashes, DWI fatalities, and the use of alcohol by residents through the state. And whereas the New Mexico DWI coordinators affiliate represents 33 counties with the common goal of reducing the incidence of DWI, alcoholism, alcohol abuse, drug addiction or drug abuse, and preventing or reducing the incidence of domestic abuse related to the use or abuse of alcohol. And whereas the New Mexico DWI coordinators in the 33 counties provide services under local DWI local DWI programs that provide compliance, monitoring, tracking for over 12,000 DWI DUI offenders, ensuring that the clients are in compliance with the court-ordered requirements. And whereas students K through 12th grade throughout the state also receive prevention education activities through these programs. And whereas nationwide, every day 926 people are injured, or every 90 seconds someone is injured in a drunk driving crash, according to MAD. And whereas the reduction of alcohol-involved vehicle crash fatalities and serious alcohol-involved vehicle crash injuries is due in part to the dedicated work of all the local DWI programs. And whereas the purpose of the Drunk and Drug Driving Prevention Month is to raise awareness around DWI, alcoholism, alcohol abuse, drug addiction, and or drug abuse, and the efforts of the DWI affiliates and the local DWI programs. And whereas Drunk and Drug Driving Prevention Month will be celebrated in Curry, Tobacco, and Roosevelt counties in New Mexico during December 1st through December 31st, 2023. And now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the governing body, Roosevelt County Board of Commissioners, does hereby designate December 23rd as Drunk and Drunk Driving Prevention Month. Roosevelt County Board of Commissioners urges all citizens, parents, governmental agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, hospitals, schools, and colleges in Roosevelt County to support efforts that will increase community awareness, understanding, and action to address DWI in our community. Board of County Commissioners of Roosevelt County.
Thank you, darling.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the proclamation declaring December 2023 as Drunk and Drug Driving Prevention Month.
I'll second that. Motion made and second to approve 7C.
Yes.
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 5 yes votes. Motion passes.
Thank you, Commissioners. I do have one point of information. Our county has experienced last year and this year increases in fatalities due to crashes. And probably law enforcement can even give a better input on that. But it's not during the holiday season. That is a good thing. But we're still got a battle. We've been zero. I think we had 0 deaths in 20 and 21. We had 4 in 22. And I think we already have 2 this year. So it's something we do always need to keep aware of. Thank you.
Thank you, darling. Ms. Hamilton.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. So we were contacted by a gentleman. It was included in your packet where they asked us to consider a proclamation and present this in honor of National Nurse Practitioners Week. Mr. Putman from Chaves County area is a Region 4 representative on the New Mexico Nurse Practitioner Council, and my understanding is they're working to do this across the state. So I would read that proclamation for y'all's consideration. Proclamation in support of the New Mexico Nurse Practitioners Council celebrating National Nurse Practitioner Week, November 12th through the 18th, 2023. Whereas nurse practitioners play a critical role in the healthcare system of Roosevelt County and across New Mexico, providing high-quality, patient-centered care in a variety of settings, including primary care practices, hospitals, clinics, and long-term care facilities across the lifespan. And whereas nurse practitioners are highly trained, licensed professionals who have completed rigorous education and clinical training, including a master's or doctorate degree in nursing and national certification in their area of specialization. And whereas New Mexico has been a leader in recognizing the importance of nurse practitioners and granted them full scope authority to practice to the full extent of their education and training without the need for physician oversight or collaborative practice agreements, which has improved access to care and increased healthcare efficiency. And whereas there are more than 290,000 licensed nurse practitioners in the United States, with over 3,000 practicing in the state of New Mexico, making up nearly 1/3 of all advanced practice registered nurses in the state. And whereas nurse practitioners are providing care to an increasingly diverse patient population, with nearly 20% of all nurse practitioners providing care in rural and underserved areas, and over 20% providing care to Medicaid and Medicare beneficiaries. And whereas nurse practitioners are vital to addressing the growing demand for primary care services, with over 1 billion visits to nurse practitioners each year and an estimated 1 in 5 Americans receiving care from nurse practitioners annually. And whereas nurse practitioners play a vital role in improving access to healthcare services, particularly in underserved and rural areas where there may be a shortage of healthcare providers. And whereas nurse practitioners are helping to improve health outcomes and reduce healthcare costs, with studies showing that nurse practitioners provide care that is comparable in quality and outcomes to physician-led care, while also reducing emergency department visits and hospital readmissions. And whereas nurse practitioners are committed to promoting health and preventing illness and working tirelessly to educate patients and their families about healthy lifestyle choices and disease prevention strategies. And whereas the New Mexico Nurse Practitioner Council is a professional organization that represents nurse practitioners across the states and advocates for policies and initiatives that support the advancement and recognition of nurse practitioners in New Mexico. Now, therefore, we, the Roosevelt County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim November 12th through the 18th, 2023 as National Nurse Practitioners Week in Roosevelt County, and express our support for the New Mexico Nurse Practitioner Council in their efforts to advocate and support nurse practitioners and the patients they serve. The Roosevelt County Commissioners recognize the significant contributions of nurse practitioners to the health and well-being of our community, and we call on all citizens to recognize their critical role in the healthcare system of Roosevelt County and across New Mexico. The Roosevelt County Commissioners commend the New Mexico Nurse Practitioner Council for their leadership and dedication to advancing the nurse profession and increasing access to quality healthcare in our state. The Roosevelt County Commissioners urge all citizens to join us in celebrating National Nurse Practitioners Week and recognizing the vital role that nurse practitioners play in providing high quality, accessible, and cost-effective care to all residents of Roosevelt County and across New Mexico.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to kind of jump into this one because my daughter's about to get done with nursing school. So I would proudly like to say that I would make the motion to approve agenda item 7D, approval of proclamation observing National Nurse Practitioner Week, November 12th through the 18th, as presented by Amber.
I'll second that.
Motion been made and second to approve 7D.
Yes.
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 Yes. 5 yes votes. Item 8, procurements, contracts, and agreements. Request for approval for local driving while intoxicated grant agreement amendment number 1 to 24-D-G-23. Ms. Reed.
Again, good morning. This is an amendment for what we used to call reversion money. In our DWI world, there's two piles of money is what I call it, distribution and grant. The word grant's a big umbrella, but they also use it in two piles of money. And when we do not use our distribution, which is brought to us 4 times a year, then we can revert that money to the next year. They've changed the name now to a special application, taking the word reversion out, because with that in there, we could only reapply for what we reverted. When they changed the special application, we could actually ask for more. We could ask for less, that amount, or more. And so we took a bold step. Sheriff Sanchez and I talked, and we asked for more money. Didn't know that we would expect to get it. And it wasn't a lot. I think we reverted about 12,000, a little above that. Lily, you may have to keep me straight on this. And we requested 18.5 or 18.8, something like that, a little over, because Sheriff's Department has got their new units in, and we're trying to put those. We can use DWI funds to put the cameras and the radar stuff at about $2,500 a piece, something like that. So we asked for enough money to try to fit all the vehicles they're getting, or as many as we could. And this year, the application, I was on the Zoom meeting in early October. It was kind of an intense meeting. Normally, the Grant Council, which is appointed by the governor, they're a real friendly group of people. The new crew, there's 2 that were original and then the rest are new, had a lot of questions, had a lot of concerns, because a lot of counties are not spending their money in distribution or grant, which Roosevelt County's been pretty good since I've been involved with it. We spend down to about 10% in both accounts, somewhere like that. It's pretty hard to hit zero when you're trying to pay operational, what are some of those things that move around, like our benefits. So Roosevelt County's been really good. So we were on the list of the good folks. There are a lot of counties that are not spending. They're spending maybe 50%. So that was the anger issues that Grant Council had. And I was really worried. We were dead last to hear what our award was. The way they go by alphabetical order and by, there's 4 different groups. And we actually got all of ours. We requested. Most counties were docked at least 10% to 50%. I think there were 3 counties. We were one of 3 that got the full amount. So thank you to Lily for helping me get my budget spent down. We get a good budget that we can kind of handle pretty good. We don't have a lot of weird stuff happening, thank goodness. We're not big enough to have a lot of problems. The good thing is that the Grant Council saw the benefit that we could spend more money than we actually didn't last year. So they have a little confidence in us. So that's what this is about.
So it could be recurring then, if we showed those numbers that you just mentioned,
Well, we hope to not revert a lot of money each year.
not recurring, where we can get it consistently every year.
We'd still have to do that special application,
Okay.
which is possible. It's not a difficult application. The big thing that we did was we talked, and this is something, I don't know why, a lot of the DWI coordinators are turnovers. That's a big turnover position in a lot of counties. I've just learned through the years, you better talk about your goals. You better talk about, certain things that you're trying to accomplish. And that's just a normal thing. Everybody should talk about that. But a lot of those applications didn't talk about what are your needs, your gaps and needs, and what are you doing about them. And that's just wordage I put in there since 2017 when Ricky Seat taught me how to write the grant. So wording, you guys know, in your own situations makes a lot of difference with things. You need to get the right words in there.
Okay.
So,
That being said, I'll move to approve 8A.
Second.
Motion made second to approve 8A. Roy Lee.
Yes.
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 Thank
5
you.
yes votes.
Appreciate it.
Motion passes. Item 8B, request for approval of award chip seal aggregate for the road department to J&H Services. Lily.
Hello again, Commissioners. We released an invitation to bid for chip seal aggregate materials for the road department. We received 2 responsible and responsive bids, one from K Barnett and the other from J&H Services, Inc. After calculations and working with Mr. Juan Dominguez closely to take into consideration the hauling cost for the material, it was determined that J&H would be the lowest cost for the material specified in the contract with their respective prices. So in the contract, you'll notice that there was 5 and there's priced on there. K Barnett had the lowest bid for the 3/8 aggregate. And that item I will bring before you on our next commission. And with that being said, at this time, I'd like to request the approval to award J&H for the chip seal aggregate materials. I'll stand for any questions.
Mr. Chairman, I move for adoption of 8B and approve the award chip seal aggregate.
And
to,
I'll
J&H
second.
Services.
Motion made and second to approve 8B. Rod?
Yes.
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 5 yes votes. Motion passes. This time we're going to have a 5-minute recess. And when we come back, we'll do our canvas board.
I appreciate that, sir.